Chapter 12 of Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel, by Guy de Maupassant. Translator unknown. Chapter 12. A Meeting and the Result. The July sun shone upon the Place de la Trinité, which was almost deserted. Duroy drew out his watch. It was only 3 o'clock. He was half an hour too early. He laughed as he thought of the place of meeting. He entered the sacred edifice of La Trinité. The coolness within was refreshing. Here and there an old woman kneeled at prayer, her face in her hands. Duroy looked at his watch again. It was not yet 3:15. He took a seat, regretting that he could not smoke. At the end of the church, near the choir, he could hear the measured tread of a corpulent man, whom he had noticed when he entered. Suddenly, the rustle of a gown made him start. It was she. He arose and advanced quickly. She did not offer him her hand and whispered, "I have only a few minutes. You must kneel near me so that no one will notice us." She proceeded to a side aisle after saluting the host on the high altar, took a footstool and kneeled down. Georges took one beside it, and when they were in the attitude of prayer, he said, "Thank you, I adore you. I should like to tell you constantly how I began to love you, how I was conquered the first time I saw you. Will you permit me some day to unburden my heart, to explain all to you?" She replied between her fingers, "I am mad to let you speak to me thus, mad to have come hither, mad to do as I have done, to let you believe that this adventure can have any results. Forget it, and never speak to me of it again." She paused. He replied, "I expect nothing. I hope nothing. I love you. Whatever you may do, I will repeat it so often, with so much force and ardor, that you will finally understand me and reply, 'I love you too.'" He felt her frame tremble as she involuntarily repeated, "I love you too." He was overcome by astonishment. "Oh my God!" she continued incoherently. "Should I say that to you? I feel guilty, despicable. I, who have 2 daughters. But I cannot. I never thought. It was stronger than I. Listen, I have never loved any other but you. I swear it. I have loved you a year in secret. I have suffered and struggled. I can no longer. I love you." She wept, and her bowed form was shaken by the violence of her emotion. Georges murmured, "Give me your hand that I may touch, may press it." She slowly took her hand from her face. He seized it, saying, "I should like to drink your tears." Placing the hand he held upon his heart, he asked, "Do you feel it beat?" In a few moments, the man Georges had noticed before passed by them. When Mme. Walter heard him near her, she snatched her fingers from Georges's clasp and covered her face with them. After the man had disappeared, Duroy asked, hoping for another place of meeting than La Trinité, "Where shall I see you tomorrow?" She did not reply. She seemed transformed into a statue of prayer. He continued, "Shall I meet you tomorrow at Parc Monceau?" She turned a livid face toward him and said unsteadily, leave me now. Go away for only 5 minutes. I suffer too much near you. I want to pray. Go, let me pray alone. 5 minutes. Let me ask God to pardon me, to save me. Leave me 5 minutes. She looked so pitiful that he rose without a word and asked with some hesitation, "Shall I return presently?" She nodded her head in the affirmative, and he left her. She tried to pray. She closed her eyes in order not to see Georges. She could not pray. She could only think of him. She would rather have died than have fallen thus. She had never been weak. She murmured several words of supplication. She knew that all was over, that the struggle was in vain. She did not, however, wish to yield, but she felt her weakness. Someone approached with a rapid step. She turned her head. It was a priest. She rose, ran toward him, and clasping her hands, she cried, "Save me! Save me!" He stopped in surprise. "What do you want, madame?" "I want you to save me. Have pity on me. If you do not help me, I am lost." He gazed at her, wondering if she were mad. "What can I do for you?" The priest was a young man, somewhat inclined to corpulence. "Receive my confession," said she, "and counsel me, sustain me, tell me what to do." He replied, "I confess every Saturday from 3 to 6. Seizing his arm, she repeated, "No, now, at once, it is necessary. He is here, in this church. He is waiting for me." The priest asked, "Who is waiting for you?" "A man who will be my ruin if you do not save me. I can no longer escape him. I am too weak, too weak." She fell upon her knees, sobbing. "Oh, Father, have pity upon me. Save me for God's sake, save me." She seized his gown that he might not escape her, while he uneasily glanced around on all sides to see if anyone noticed the woman at his feet. Finally, seeing that he could not free himself from her, he said, "Rise, I have the key to the confessional with me." Duroy, having walked around the choir, was sauntering down the nave when he met the stout, bold man wandering about, and he wondered, what can he be doing here? The man slackened his pace and looked at Georges with the evident desire to speak to him. When he was near him, he bowed and said politely, "I beg your pardon, sir, for disturbing you, but can you tell me when this church was built?" Duroy replied, "I do not know. I think it is 20 or 25 years. It is the first time I have been here. I have never seen it before." Feeling interested in the stranger, the journalist continued: "It seems to me that you are examining into it very carefully." The man replied: "I am not visiting the church, I have an appointment." He paused and in a few moments added: "It is very warm outside." Duroy looked at him and suddenly thought that he resembled Forestier. "Are you